Okay, our honors project is due tomorrow, and we have not started the research at all on these philosophers. We have to relate 5 of their thoughts and beliefs together, and there's no way we can get through 100 pages of text to research all that.
We need to understand the goals and pursuits of each of the philosophers. They have so many ideas, I wish we could just talk to them in person.
I wish we could just talk to somebody who took her class last year.
Oh, hey guys.
Hey Nathan.
What's going on?
Nathan, you know what? We need your help. We have this project that's due like tomorrow.
Okay.
And we have to research like 5 philosophers, but that's like a lot of work.
Yeah. Why don't you just talk to him?
That's what I was just saying. Can we do that?
Yeah. Did I not tell you all that Tarnus was a time machine last year?
Well, I find that pretty hard to believe.
Well, it's true. Very simple. So if you go to page 273 and you say stars woo, it'll take you to wherever you want to go. At least where great philosophers are. Anyways, I gotta go. Sorry.
Wait, how does that? Okay, wow. That's weird. Well, I don't know that we have a better solution. You guys want to try that?
I guess so, yeah.
Oh, wait. Let's read the fine print first. If you
It
can.
says to just think really hard of where you want to go, and it'll take you there. So just everyone pick a philosopher, but don't pick the same one.
All right, cool. Let's do it.
Where are we?
All the way back to Athens, Greece.
That's a long way.
Yeah. What's this?
Smells like coffee.
Interesting.
Okay, well,
Hello, I am Socrates.
Hi, Socrates.
Hi. Can you tell us about your philosophies and impact on Greece?
Well, that is one of my primary goals in life. I believe that I should educate the young men of Greece to become better citizens by asking questions. I want to teach philosophy for the best interests of society and produce ethics through rational thought.
do you feel like you were called to do this?
Oh, yes. The oracle at Delphi told me that I was the wisest of all men. I wondered how this could be true. I began inquiring of all the wise men in the city in order to fulfill the oracle's call.
And how did the wise men react to you doing that?
Oh, well, not as I would have expected. By asking him for clarification on religious piety, I led one wise man, Euthyphro, into quite a dilemma. You see, I believe that I am a student learning from masters by cross-examination and dialectic. However, I thought to myself, I am wiser than this man. Neither of us probably knows anything that is really good, but he thinks he has knowledge when he has not, while I, having no knowledge, do not think that I have.
Are you still doing this today?
Oh, yes, I question and teach as the oracle called me to do. However, I have heard quite a few rumblings that my style is threatening to society. Some believe that I am corrupting the youth. Think of that.
What will you do if you're put to trial?
Well, I suppose I would have to give a defense. I would explain my actions, but not apologize, for I am challenging the lack of ethics and integrity in philosophy today. Yet I would accept my fate, for I love my dear Athens too much to fight against the jury, despite any of their blindness to the truth. I'm sure my dear pupil Plato will record all of this. He is always following me around with papyrus, and as a matter of fact, I should go find him now.
Thank you.
Socrates. We learned so
lot.
much.
Oh, of course. Always remember to seek wisdom and strive to improve your heart and mind. Now, where is the Kool-Aid? I want to drink it.
Dude, where are we?
I don't know. Welcome to the Lyceum.
Wait, did you hear that? What?
Yeah,
Let's go investigate, yeah. Wait, are you Aristotle?
I am the one and only, but who are you? Well, that doesn't really matter. It's a pleasure to meet you, though. I need to figure out what year it is.
Is Alexander the Great still alive?
Is that what he's calling himself these days? Yes, my old pupil Alexander is still alive and quite healthy, for your information. Why do you care? You mysterious strangers ask a lot of questions. I like it. My students can learn a thing or two from you.
Well, we're just new to the area, and we were wondering if anything had happened during our travels. So, what are you working on these days, Mr. Aristotle?
Well, I've been giving lectures about how we aim for happiness in life. That humans are imperfect, so we have an imperfect concept of happiness.
I think that's from his ethics.
Still talking.
Humans will find happiness in what they find virtuous. Virtue is something that is practiced starting at a young age. It cannot be taught. A cowardly person who practiced cowardice their entire life will find happiness in being a coward. My students are raised as academics from birth. They have practiced being studious their entire lives, and thus would find much happiness from getting good remarks from their teachers.
Yeah, I think I can understand that. I would be really happy if we got full marks.
Oh, and I'm working on my criticism of Plato's forms. My old teacher was great, but wrong in many ways. The material world is where our focus should be. He gestures toward the world around him. He is too engrossed in this heavenly forms, rather than looking around him and using his senses to make conclusions.
Right, empiricism. They loved that in the scientific revolution.
Is that what you were talking about during metaphysics?
And what now? The what revolution?
That doesn't matter. But, you know, how do you know that you can trust your senses?
What kind of question is that? Are you attacking the credibility of my eyes?
You see, yeah, the philosophers from art, where we're from, they question a lot of things. There's no really objective truth, and you can't really trust your senses. I mean, you can be colorblind for all I know.
Colorblind? You strangers use strange language. Your philosophers also sound strange, but I can understand their perspective. Humans are imperfect beings, so perhaps our perspectives are also imperfect. I'll have to think about this. I'm always in pursuit of new knowledge, after all.
But what is knowledge? Is his definition of knowledge the same as our definition of knowledge? Is this all a language game?
Okay, Leotard, chill out. Thank you for talking to us, Aristotle. The conversation was enlightening. We should be going.
I don't understand!
This is an odd spot.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to look for him.
Wait, is this the right spot?
I think so. My data shows that Galileo came around here a lot.
But that isn't him, is it? I mean, wasn't he a man?
This may be his daughter, Maria Celeste. Excuse me, is your father Galileo Galilei?
Yes, he is. If you are looking for him, I'm afraid he isn't here. He only visits me here at the convent every few days. But what is it you seek? I may be able to help you.
We were hoping to ask your father a few questions about his work.
We often write about his work, so I will do my best to answer them.
Your father has been hailed a great scientist. How did he go about his many scientific discoveries?
My father conducted many experiments to discover the properties and principles behind the ordering and operation of the universe. For instance, he once dropped 2 differently sized spheres from the Tower of Pisa to show that they would fall at the same speed. He also built equipment to help him in his observations. The spyglass, which you may have heard of, is one such invention. By using a series of polished glass, he was able to see further and clearer into the heavens than any before him. He made many new observations about the surface of the moon, innumerable fixed stars, as well as 4 planets never before seen. But you can read about all of that in his book, The Starry Messenger.
And why hadn't these things been discovered before? Like, what made your father unique?
My father was not held back by the outdated philosophies and theories of Aristotle and Ptolemy. Most men accept that what the Greeks wrote must be true because it is old. They accept it without question. Not my father, though. He saw that some things Aristotle wrote were obviously false, and so he determined to find out the truth of things for himself. But he used experiments. He observed the natural world, rather than just coming up with good ideas out of his head and then thinking that they must be true because they are good.
So how did people react to his work? I heard something about him having a run-in with the church.
Shh, I don't think she knows about that yet. I think we might be before that.
My father is quite a devout man, so I'm not really sure to what you are referring. Some rejoiced in his work. They joined him in pointing their spyglasses to the skies, confirming what he wrote of. Some, however, disagreed and sought to prove my father wrong. My father questioned that the sun orbited the earth and thought the earth instead orbited the sun. Because of this, some clergymen, the ignorant ones, opposed him, thinking that his ideas were contrary to Scripture. To vindicate himself, he wrote to the Grand Duchess Christina of Florence, explaining his position to her. He found that his opponents had published some writings full of useless discussions and sprinkled with quotations from Holy Scripture, taken from passages which they do not properly understand and which they inappropriately adduce. Thus, he showed definitively that the Scriptures were written to show one the way to God, not as a mere description of the universe. Scripture should not be used to try to do what God has not purposed with it.
Wow, that's so fascinating. Your dad has definitely done a lot more interesting things than mine, Matt.
I think we ought to get going if we want to get to all the other philosophers we have to interview.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Maria.
I'm glad I could answer a few of your questions. May God speed you on your way.
Goodbye.
You're not who I was with.
And this isn't what I was wearing.
And this is just Watkins. We must have brought Charles Darwin here.
We have to make sure he's okay. Darwin?
Yes?
Are you okay?
Of course. Why wouldn't it be?
Oh, so you're the guy who said we came from apes.
Well, not exactly, but I did say all races likely descend from a common ancestor. I mean, I argue that natural selection is the main but not exclusive means of modification. Wait, where did you hear that?
Your Origin of Species. It actually went on to influence the future of science. It actually went so far as to influence secular science. But evolution's now taught in schools everywhere, and you're a household name.
Wow, that fills me with such pride.
Which brings us to our next topic. What do you think about morality?
I think good deeds are often selfish. They've been developed through the process of natural selection, similar to altruistic behavior. I said that each man would soon learn from experience if he aided his fellow man, he would receive aid in return.
So that goes back to your chapter 5, The Descent of Man, on the development of intellectual and moral faculties during primeval and civilized times.
Yes, you read that too?
Yes, you should be quite proud of yourself. Except for the fact that you followed a Lamarck theory of acquired traits. That was later disproven by Gregor Mendel. He realized that acquired traits don't get passed down through genes, only inherited traits. It also led to the idea of social Darwinism, which had some pretty terrible implications. However, your ideas of natural selection were never disproven.
Oh, okay. What do people think about all the wrong things that I said?
Some people have attempted to call you out on those things, but lucky for you, most people don't actually take the time to consider your own teachings or the fact that you are racist.
Racist?
Yeah, you would definitely be canceled if you lived in the postmodern era.
Canceled for spreading truth?
Truth's kind of all relative now, but I've said too much. Thank you so much, Darwin.
Thank you, Mr. Darwin.
I really hope this is going to be the last one.
It is, but...
Is not night continually closing in on us? Do we not need to light lanterns in the morning? Do we hear
Here we
nothing
go.
as yet of
He's
the
already saying
noise
important
of
stuff,
grave
too.
diggers who are burying God? Do we smell nothing as yet of the divine decomposition?
gods too decompose.
Nietzsche, could you explain to us who killed God again?
We did! Or perhaps we should. But God was never real in the first place. Society created him to create a limitation on what you should be. If we remove him from the equation, we can truly become the greatest version of ourselves. We can become an Ubermensch.
What does taxi service have to do with becoming cool?
That's German for Superman.
An Ubermensch defines his own life and disregards the confines of society to become what he wants to be. A coward is only a coward because he chooses to be. Should he change his mind, he will become a hero.
I think I'd choose to become a billionaire in that case.
Now, you might be frightened by our lonely existence, but now you are free. You can make your own choices, should you be strong enough. Christians created God to turn our greatest attributes into something we should be ashamed of, and vice versa. So free yourself. Let no construct define your being.
That sounds a lot like Sartre.
Who is this Sartre?
He's an existentialist philosopher. He was born 5 years after you, never mind. He called the anxiety over not knowing or not being able to see that there was a God abandonment, and saw it as a way of relishing in our lives as free humans.
Sounds like a very smart man.
You would say that. What else do we need to know, Nietzsche?
Well, you should know that truth is not all that important. Humans do not like being lied to, but do you know why? We hate deception. We hate not deception itself, but rather the unpleasant, hated consequences of certain sorts of deception. It does not matter if someone lied to us, only that the lie does not have any bad consequences that we have to deal with. And that is all supposing that there is an inherent truth, as many of our truths are things that society has agreed to repeat as if they were factual.
So that's where this all came from. You started the postmodern snowball of there is no truth.
Well, there is no truth.
But is that statement true?
Now you're getting it.
Oh my goodness.
Regardless, you inspired an entire coup of truth. Philosophers after you like Sartre, Lyotard, Rorty, all wrestle with language, science, and truth. It's giving us a headache, to be honest.
I would very much like to travel to your time.
We can't be doing that. We should get going. Yeah. Just...
Safe travels, strange people. May your universe be empty and your choices your own.
That was a trick.
That was awesome.
That's a word for it, yeah.
Well, now we definitely know more about each philosopher and maybe a little about time travel too.
Yeah, I feel very confident in our project now. We have legitimately primary sources.
It was interesting to see how each philosopher had a different pursuit in life.
But they all seem to have a similar goal.
They were each trying to find the truth, but like in their own little ways.
Yeah, so Socrates pursued knowledge and wisdom, but he realized what he knew and what he didn't know.
Aristotle was trying to find the truth through empiricism.
Darwin thought that discovering the origin of man would shed light on science and on the origin of mankind.
Galileo studied the heavens trying to find truth about the world.
And Nietzsche's view was a bit different, honestly, but he sincerely believed that if everything was meaningless, then
we shouldn't follow the lies of another worldview.
Ultimately, they were all trying to pursue truth, but because of a fallen world, they couldn't actually achieve it.
We're still trying to pursue truth today. Even in a postmodern world, people aren't satisfied with the empty, meaningless morality in actions.
So after hearing about all these philosophers, I was originally thinking that like all of their pursuits would matter, but I think really that as Christians, the only true pursuit that matters is Christ.
Yeah, learning about different worldviews helps us see the greater truth of Christ and how all objectivity and morality comes from Him.
This has been an amazing experience, an adventure. I'm actually excited to write about it.
Yeah, no one's going to believe us.
No one, absolutely not.
Make a good story though. Stars.